President Trump met with Republican senators just last night, supportive of a framework that would separate ICE funding from DHS funding. I want to bring in CBS News congressional reporter Taurean, who's live on Capitol Hill for us today. And Taurean, that meeting, does it give any hope that a deal will be made before the Senate leaves for recess at the end of this week?
Yeah, quite a few Republicans, Mugo, left that meeting feeling a little bit more optimistic. Senator Katie Brick said that she believes they have a deal. I talked to Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana. He didn't meet with the president, but he says his understanding is that the president did agree to a concept of a deal. What that would look like is removing ICE funding from this DHS funding bill and running it through a process known as reconciliation. That will require a simple majority, and that's essentially laid out for legislation that deals with federal spending and revenue. The president also seems to be in support of attaching the SAVE Act as a rider to that reconciliation process so it doesn't muddy up this progress for reopening DHS. We caught up with a few Democrats today, a few notable Democrats who are among the moderate class who voted for reopening the government under the previous shutdown, like Senator Dick Durbin. He said, listen, this is the proposal that Democrats have been asking for a while, and now it looks like Republicans are on board with that. When asked by me if he has seen the language and when would he like to see it, he says he was hoping to have seen it yesterday, but he's hoping to take a look at it sooner than later, Mugo.
And we know the Senate confirmed Markwayne Mullin as the new Homeland Security Secretary. Any chance he's able to help both sides of the aisle reach an agreement sooner rather than later?
Yeah, assuming that talks break down from what we've been hearing so far, he could step in that role that we've seen Border Czar Tom Homan take over the past couple of weeks. Homan was on the Hill last week talking to a bipartisan group of lawmakers, trying to fill out where both sides stand. According to folks familiar with those conversations, including several lawmakers, both parties were still very far apart, but were at least hopeful that that opening of a dialogue could lead to where we are today. Again, there isn't a deal materialized tangibly, but it appears that the president has agreed to, again, the concept of the deal that would see the removal of ICE from this DHS funding bill, and that would run through a separate process that Republicans will look to go at alone.
All right, Taurean Small on Capitol Hill for us today. Thank you so much. And now let's turn to the ongoing war in Iran. There are now new signs that the White House and Iran may be heading toward a peace deal. A senior Iranian official tells CBS News they've received a message, I should say, from the U.S. through mediators. And Iran is now reviewing the points in that message. It comes as President Trump says Iran has until the end of this week to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, or the U.S. will destroy the country's power plants. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand is live at the White House for us today. Natalie, what more can you tell us about these negotiations?
Hi, Mugo. Well, President Trump over the past 24 hours has expressed considerable optimism that a deal could potentially be reached with Iran. Yesterday, he said that there were productive talks happening, discussions with his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, even though Iran's regime denied that those talks were happening. But now we do have this acknowledgement from an official within the foreign ministry saying that Iran has, in fact, received some points passed along from the United States through mediators, and that they are being reviewed. And we've also learned that Pakistan is now positioning itself as a potential mediator. And a short time ago, President Trump reposted a message from Pakistan's prime minister saying that they stand ready and honored to host and facilitate meaningful and conclusive talks for a comprehensive settlement of the ongoing conflict. Now, the details of a potential deal still unclear at this point. The president yesterday reiterated that Iran cannot have its nuclear weapons program. And, you know, it's also unclear who exactly his negotiating team is speaking to. The president wouldn't reveal that yesterday, but did make clear it is not the new supreme leader. Mugo.
And Natalie, after seeing oil prices spike and markets slide, is President Trump looking for an off-ramp here? What insight do we have into his thinking about all of this?
Well, in announcing that he's postponing his previous ultimatum to Iran with respect to the Strait of Hormuz, it's clear that he is giving this window of a few days this week for potential diplomacy to prevail. We also know, that the incredible impacts to the energy markets, oil prices, gas prices, including here in the United States, that is weighing on the administration. As average people say, it's costing more everywhere to fill up, at the pump right now. So we'll have to wait and see what happens over this next critical period. There is some, cautious optimism. Then again, we've seen these types of talks break down again, but there is this pivotal key period as the war approaches 4 weeks, Mugo.
All right, Natalie Brand outside the White House for us today. Thank you.